Okay, a very good morning to all of you. So today we'll continue with the restructuring of organizations. So in the previous session we discussed about the matrix structure. So today we are going to discuss about a few more structures in the organizations which can be implemented so that the things can easen out, or so that the decision making process or the problem solving time period, whatever it is there, it is being reduced. So here this is a process based structure wherein in every organizations, there are different kinds of processes which are being followed. So it may be like a new product development process. It may be related to customer service, trying to acquire and fill in the customer orders. Okay. It may be support services, like as I told you, customer services, after sales service, or before sales services, whatever it is there. So these are different kinds of processes which are being followed in the organization. So this structure mainly does not focus upon the product or a kind of a reporting system here, but it mainly focuses on those processes. Why it is? Because they want more perfection in these processes. Okay, so that is what this process based structure works upon. So here the main advantage is we can focus more upon customers here. Let us say if it is after sales service, okay, that is a process, and in the organization a process based structure is being followed. So the customer service itself is treated as a very important process in the organization. So by doing so, what is happening is you can put more focus on that process, and you can increase the satisfaction of the customers by giving them better services. So in this process based structure, the skill and competency is concentrated more upon specific processes, and at the same time expertise is developed. So if a person is into sales department, he is too much expert in that area only. If a person is in service department, he takes care of the giving after sales service for the customers only. So he is expert in that. He is expert in addressing the problems of the customers. So they can develop more expertise in their own processes or areas in which they are working. Unlikely in matrix structure, you will be responsible for many activities in the organization. So such headache may not be there. Here you are mainly concentrating on one single process in your job. It also improves the speed and efficiency. As I told you, it increases the expertise of that person in that specific area. Obviously it will increase the speed and efficiency of that person working in the particular process, because he has no other work. He only concentrates upon one single activity or process in the organization. So he is not being used for multiple tasks here. So the main concentration only falls upon one single activity which he is supposed to do every day. So his speed and efficiency is ultimately going to increase. It helps in adapting to the environmental changes rapidly. So let us say new product development. If a team is concentrating only on this process, that is new product development, uh, whatever market requirements are there, whatever environmental changes are affecting the organization, immediately they can respond back, because they are expert in that area, and immediately they can launch some new products. By developing new products, they can immediately launch new products for the market to meet the market requirements. So such is a kind of reaction, or I can say a kind of a immediate behavior you can get in this process based structures by the employees. It reduces the boundaries between the departments. In functional based structure, you could see there HR, marketing, finance, IT, such departments are there. So whoever comes under that will be working towards those activities or tasks only. But here what happens, let us say there is a after sales service department. Okay, so that is a under process based structure. So for after sales service, what all things are necessary? To a certain extent, you need marketing department, because they should give information related to how, who all people, who all customers have taken the products or bought the product. Then there is finance department who need to incur the cost of after sales service, maybe fixing up of instruments or anything like that. Then there is HR department who has to train the employees of the process, that is the after sales service department. So here they have to coordinate with these all three departments if it would have been a functional structure. But here, because they mainly concentrate upon process, that is the particular activity, that is the after sales service here, so they are not linked up with any, there is nothing like other departments here. They are self-sufficient here. They train their employees, they ensure that the financial part is taken care of, they ensure that there are they have coordination with the sales teams here. So a kind of a boundaryless organization you can find in process-based structure. Everybody is working together here, concentrating upon their own activities. It increases the ability to see the work as a total workflow, not as one part or anything here. Even though they are working on process-based structure, that is only concentrating upon one process, but still they will be looking towards the total workflow. Let us say in an assembly line of a car unit, one section is just window fitment section. Okay, so if they delay, obviously the other functions of that assembly line are going to be affected. So if the section where windows are fitted to the car, that section, if it starts concentrating upon its own process and finishes it in time, ultimately it can support the other processes also in the assembly line. So that is why it has to look as a total work, not rather than your own simple one process or two processes on which you will be concentrating upon. So that is very important here, right? So they work towards total completion here of the work or activity or the process, what it is. They don't just look into their tasks here. They will also think that if we delay, the other activities also may get delayed. So that ability to see as a total workflow you can find in process-based structure. It also enhances employee involvement because they become expertise in that area. They love their work and they can become more efficient, ultimately resulting in employees being more involved here. They should understand what is their responsibility. They should know how much, within how much time frame they have to finish the task, so that other processes in the organization is not affected. So it enhances employee involvement. At the same time, it also lowers the dues towards the overhead costs here. It lowers the costs dues towards the overheads here. Any extra costs which you incur due to duplication of employment or duplication of work activities in the organization can be reduced here. So because one process somebody has taken up, he'll complete it whole. Okay, so 2 or 3 people will not be working on the same task here. So that is why process-based structure has these advantages. Then we have certain disadvantages also. It can threaten the middle managers and the staff specialists. Sometimes what happens, because employees only will be working in the process-based structures, they become more expertise in that area, due to which there may not be any middle managers or some specialists needed in the organization. So threaten here in the sense threaten for their jobs. Okay, so they may not be necessary here, because people in that whole process will be working on their own towards the completion of the task here. So they don't need in some situations they may not need middle managers or specialists here to control or to guide them, because they are already expert in that process. It requires changes in command and control mindsets. I told you, because it is kind of a team effort here. If somebody is trying to control somebody or command over somebody, it becomes very difficult to work as a team here in the process-based structure. So some changes are necessary in terms of commanding and controlling mindsets here. So people should not be dictated here, or people should not be commanded here in the process based structure. Rather, they have to be motivated, and a kind of inner motivation should actually make them be a part of this process structure. It duplicates the scarce resources. Scarce resources in the sense some crucial, important resources in terms of knowledge or skills in the organization. So if you put them in one process, they may not be used in any other processes in the organization. So again, you have to appoint new people there. So for that reason, duplication of some important scarce resources may arise in the process structure. It requires new skills and knowledge to manage the lateral relations and teams, of course. Uh, as lateral relationships and teams means, in an organization, to complete the whole, achieve the goal of the organization. Okay, many processes will be working here. So there should be a kind of a link, or there should be a kind of a good relationship between these teams, or between these processes. As I told you, an example of an assembly line car unit, they have to manage their lateral relations also, that is relationship with the other processes in the organization also. If window fixing department or the process gets delayed, then the further processes also may get delayed. So they should have some skills and knowledges to ensure that they are able to complete their task, and at the same time understand how their negligence may affect the other relation, that is other teams in the organization. So keeping that in mind, they have to complete their task here. So sometimes if they are neglecting here, their work system, the whole organization work system may also get affected. Many a times I have listened to companies complaining that, sir, we have done our task. Let us say the sales department has done its task, it has sold the product to the customer, but the after sales service department is worst in the organization. So what happens in the future, because of worst after sales services in the department, it is going to negatively affect even the sales department. So they may find difficulties of selling the products in the future days. So for that reason, lateral relationship is trying to be dependent on each other, trying to understand how your activity is going to somewhere affect the other processes in the organization. May take longer to make decisions in teams. Because it is a team effort, as I told you, many people may not agree to one condition or one consensus. So it may take some more time to come to consensus and take some decisions. Can be ineffective if wrong processes are identified. So identifying an important process in the organization is very, very important here. If you go wrong in identifying these processes, maybe they become ineffective. They may not help the organization which you expected from them. So that is what is process. Here, what the best suggestion is, this process-based structure. This process-based structure can be used with a combination of other department. Something like if it is there, if there is a marketing department, there can be one sales department, one after sales service department, or one pre-sales service department. So with a combination of other structures, these process-based structures can work in not independently in the organization. So that is the more effective way of getting the things done in a faster time. Then we have this customer centric structure. It purely concentrates upon customers, giving facilities, giving services to the customers. So you must have seen, if you go to buy a car, right? So there is a whole team which works on selling a car. It may be related to sales department. It may be related to the after sales service department. It may be related to continuous customer relationship management department. So all these departments will be working in concentrating with the customers here. Okay, so under CEO you can find, of course, there are HR, finance, and R&D departments. But when it comes to customers, marketing departments play a very important role. So here under that marketing department, there are a lot of product supports groups here. So there may be product one, product two. Again, for product one, there may be a person in charge who will give them services. Again, for product two, there may be a person or a team in charge who are going to give services, right? So like this, services are given to every product here. So if you, as I was giving an example of a car showroom, when you go there, for example, let us say Maruti Suzuki company, there is a marketing sales executives only exclusively for S-Cross. There are marketing sales executives only exclusively for Brezza, Vitara Brezza, only for Maruti 800 or low-end cars, right? So why that is done? Because they are more expertise in targeting specific customers who have come there to buy the products, right? So if it is premium cars, the kind of customer treatment or dealing with the customers is totally different. If it is a low end car, the kind of a treatment given to them or the kind of communication discussed or happening between the customer and the marketing executive is totally at a different level here. So that is what is a customer centric structures here. With that, specific concentration on the target customers here, there are other teams also who work on concentrating upon how to face the market, that is the promotions. Then identifying the customer segments and teaming up people for those customer segments. As I told you, if there are three categories of cars: top end, middle end, and lower end cars. Okay, for top end, there is a need for a team who handles the customers only for top end customers. There is another team which is needed for middle end car customers. Another team is needed for lower end car customers. So like this, different teams are created here for different products, and those teams will be handling those products from buying till the service of that particular product. So what difference you can find when it comes to product centric and customer centric? So these are the differences. You just can go through it little bit later. So here the customer centric structure mainly advantages it presents one integrated face to the customer. Okay, so starting from selling the car till the car is dispatched to that customer and the service is provided to him. Okay, so these all things are taken care by one single team here, right? So that is one, you are trying to show a very integrated face of the company. A whole team shows one face to the customer here. Okay, so in many companies, this thing is totally distorted. That is, one person sells, another person gives a service, another person gives some other facilities, right? So if you start asking questions to them or complain, put up some complaints to them, they will say that I'm not responsible, or you are not responsible, or I'm not responsible. So they give answers like this. But if it is a customer centric structure, the whole team addresses to the customer's requirement here. So that is one beauty of this customer centric structure. It generates a deep understanding of the customer requirements. You must have seen, many of you, I don't know whether you have experienced or not, whenever you go to a sari shop, a very shop wherein you buy saris all the times. Okay, it's like a family shop for you, where every time whenever you need saris or dresses, you go to that shop. So there are specific salesmen who concentrate only on specific customers. Okay, so if you are a top end customer and he knows you very well, he only will come and address you or your requirements. So such a kind of deep understanding regarding customer requirements will be there, which will help the company to give better services or better facilities to its customers. It also enables the organization to customize and tailor solutions for the customers. Many a times what happens whenever we go to some hotels or anything, we we know some waiters by names because they have given good service or something like that. So whenever we go to that hotel, we always prefer to get service from the same waiter, for the reason he understands our taste. He gives us customized and better tailor-made what I can say dishes. According to our taste or convenience, he facilitates us with those kind of food. Such kind of facility only can happen in customer-centric organizations. It builds a robust customer response capability. Immediately, the team can respond back to the customer here because they are only dealing with a certain set of customers here. So they can concentrate more upon them only. So these are some advantages. Then coming to disadvantages, the customer teams can be too inwardly focused. That is, only to my customers I'm going to focus. If any other customer is there and nobody is there to address them, these customer teams will not go and address the problems of the new customers here. So that should not happen in the organizations. Sharing, learning, and developing functional skills is quite difficult here because a kind of competition, I can say, arises between the teams handling customers here. So normally that open environment is not there in terms of learning and developing the skills here. It's very difficult to manage the lateral relationship between the customer facing and the back office units is sometimes also difficult. So front end and back end teams are there. Sometimes relationships between these two will what I can say will be affected here in terms of when customer centric structures are being followed. Some developing common processes and in terms of front and back is always problematic. The same thing here. Sometimes what happens in front end, that is at the reception level, the process is common. When you go back end, the processes are different, trying to concentrate upon categories of customers. It is difficult in coordination with the front end office here. Let us say there are 10 teams and there is only front end desk, that is the reception counter with you with whom you are supposed to coordinate. It becomes very difficult for the front desk people to manage these 10 teams of employees because every team will come and say our work is important, we have to give facilities for us, you have to provide us this much of funds or something like that. So coordination with those 10 teams, especially the front desk, will have lot of difficulties. Then clarifying the marketing function is always problematic here. As I told you, they will be handling a specific set of customers. Okay, so let us say a person is absent in that particular team, or he is absent for the work that day. So who is going to handle the particular function then? Right? So it is very difficult here in this situation because you should make sure that your team is prepared for everything, and that does not happen in customer centric. So even when it is a customer centric, everybody have their own processes to be completed, right? So it is very difficult that who is going to do that marketing function here. Marketing function in the sense, it is just not sales here, right? So even giving facility services, fixing the products at home, whatever it is, all that will be a part of marketing functions nowadays. So defining it and clarifying the roles and responsibilities of each of them becomes problematic. And if you define it also, later if somebody is not there, there is no other person who can handle the task of that absent person. So that should be handled here in case of this customer centric structure. And the same suggestion I'll give here, instead of going for a pure customer centric structure, you can again mix it with some other organization structure like matrix based or functional based structures. You can mix it and try to use it. Then we have a network structure here. So hope most of you people have seen the picture of Band Baja Bharat. Okay, so that is a film where you can find the best network structure. So there is a team who handles event management, that is Band Baja Bharat team, and there is one flower team. There is one food team, food and arrangement team. There is one team which is related to music, providing music during the marriages, right? So all these are individual entities, but together they are working for one common cause here. So such is an example of a network structure. So here, the Band Baja Bharat team is a kind of a broker organization. So there are 4 different people who are going to help them to ensure that the work is completed. So that is an example of a network structure here. So these are the advantages of network-based structure. They are very highly flexible and adaptive in nature. It creates the best of best. And when it comes to network structure, it is your choice who will be your supplier or who will be your dealer, who will be your retailer. It is your choice. Okay, so you can choose the best in the market and focus more upon customers in the market. Every organization can leverage a distinctive competency here. So if it is an event management company, so you don't need if you are having a link between food supply agencies, so those are expertise. That is what is distinctive competency. Those are expertise in food area. Okay, so they can give you the best food food taste, because they are competent in that area. So this network structure, it is a kind of structure which is especially useful when the business is not constant. Okay, so and at the same time you have to understand the requirements of the market, and continuously the other organization services may not be necessary for you. Such a situation, network based structures can be used up. It permits a very rapid global response here. Let us say you don't have a branch in US, wherein you want a branch and you want to sell your products there. You can immediately establish a network with some local seller there and start selling your products through that local seller there. So that is again an example of managing a network, establishing a network based structure. It can produce a very synergistic results. So if your business does well, it does not mean that only you're doing well. So somewhere the other teams of the network are also are doing well, and that has resulted in a kind of a positive profit for the company. Synergy means a kind of a bonding between these teams. If everybody concentrates, so it is something like it is just not 2 plus 2 is 4. It is just that 2 plus 2 becomes 5 here, because the strength increases as a whole team. When everybody starts concentrating, whatever results you are expecting, it actually crosses that. Okay, they can give more better results compared to what you were expecting. So that synergy can be created in this network based structure if everything goes well. Then there are some disadvantages also here. It is very difficult to manage again the relationships, because they all the other organizations are autonomous in nature. So let us say the same Band Baja Bharat team, there was a flower supplier, there was a food supplier. In case, let us say the flower supplier does not want to supply flowers because some fight has happened between the both the teams, right? So it may affect the performance of the organization very, very badly. So you have to manage your relationship with the other autonomous organizations, and then only synergistically you can bring out positive results. It is very difficult to motivate members and to relinquish autonomy and join the network. So they will be working individually. When they have to join your network means motivating them, convincing them is not an easy task, because sharing of profits happen here. Okay, so you have to ensure that they are motivated to join you and share the profits among all the team members. Then sustaining membership and benefits can be always problematic. I told you, becoming a part of this network itself is very difficult, and at the same time whatever benefits are given, even that also have to be distributed correctly according to the said shares. And at the same time, sustaining those benefits may also be problematic. Sustaining the benefits in the sense, uh, you may sometimes, because of disturbances in the relationships, you may sometimes face problems related to completion of tasks. At that time, benefits or the profits can be always at stake. So that you have to ensure, and it has to be sustained. If you don't, if you are not able to manage your profits, the teams or the organizations who have joined your network may disconnect themselves from you. It may give partners access to the proprietary knowledge and technology. So today you're organizing the marriage events, the other teams are just supporting you. In the due course of time, the other teams can also start learning your knowledge and your skills. So that is what is a disadvantage here. So in the coming days or years, they may disconnect from you and they may start working individually, organizing events. Just like an example of Baja Bharat. So such what I can say, tension or such danger is always there, wherein you may lose your expertise, knowledge in terms of organizing the events here in the example. So that is what is a kind of a network organization. So with various changes in these kind of network organization, ultimately in some organizations it may result in downsizing. Okay, so what is this downsizing? Downsizing means cutting down in the number of employees of the organization. Okay, so let us say automation in the company. Okay, so it supports downsizing, because once the company goes for automation facilities, what happens is they may not require the same number of employees to work in the organization. They need to cut down their employee numbers. That is what is the downsizing. So here, this downsizing process has to be very smoothly carried out. Otherwise, the companies uh, may find it very difficult here. Just a minute. Yes. So whenever you are cutting down your employees, it actually is a very negative process, and it can affect the organization's image here, brand image here. The reason is the employees are removed from the organization. They'll be unhappy. They have their own opinions created about, negative opinions created about the company. So there are a lot of issues which may come up. So for that reason, you have to follow a very systematic process in terms of when you are downsizing the number of employees here. So what is that process? Uh, so this is one more strategy or technique of a structural intervention. Just like other processes, here by downsizing also you are bringing changes in the structure of the organization. So initially there were 1,000 employees. Now you have reduced them to only 250 employees. Means the structure of the organization is also going to change here. The levels in the organizations are going to come down here. So let us say there were 10 levels of reporting. Now there will be only 5 levels of reporting. So such effect can, this downsizing uh, can bring in the organization. So what kind of systematic process can be followed during downsizing, and how you can lower the negative impacts of this downsizing on the organization? So we'll discuss that. So the first very stage is to clarify the strategy of the organization. So first you should understand where the organization is moving. If it is a technological upgradation or technological development happening in the company, what kind of effect it is going to have on number of employees. Okay, so you should think of it. So first thing is understand where the organization is moving towards. Then based on that plan, you have to start assessing the downsizing options and make relevant choices. So let us say if the company is going for technology upgradation, that is automation. Okay, so initially there were 300 employees in the department. Now there is only a need for 100 employees in the department. So I have to remove 300 people from the out of 400, let us say 100 is needed. Now I have to remove 300 people. So if I have to remove 300 people from the organization, what are my options in terms of removing them? Okay, out of those 300, let us say this year 50 people get retired. So my headache of 50 people is over. I'm not going to appoint anybody, any new people in the place of that 50 people. So I'm left with how many? Now 250. That in that 250, let us say due to the market trends, another 50 may leave for promotions or for better options in the market. That is, they get better jobs with better salary in the market. So that is a trend every year we can witness. So another 50 people may leave. So how many left? Only 200 people. So these 200 people, how to manage them? In that 200 people, maybe around 20, 30 people may themselves quit the jobs because they know that organization is changing and they don't want to end up in losing their jobs. So they shift to some other companies. Okay, so we are left with around 160 or 170 people. So how to manage them, how to downsize them, how to ensure that they are removed from the organization? You have to go with your own options. Either give them 3-month compensatory salary and remove them from the organization. Either make arrangements for the job in some other branches of your own organization where it is necessary, or either tie up with some other external companies where you help your employees to get the jobs, right? So you can even go for a kind of a golden parachute in the sense, you have to give a big lump sum amount for them because because of your company's decisions you are throwing them out, right? So in this case, what happens when you are throwing them out due to some your own company reasons, you have to give them a big compensation and make them happy to go outside. Okay, so the package should be in such a manner that they should not oppose or make any allegations on the company. They should go happily, they should leave the company. So that is one more option for downsizing. So you have to choose your own options, which is better for the company. You should even look into the budgetary constraints when you are downsizing the employee size. After that, once you make a choice as to which method you are going to go with, you have to implement those methods. And after that, you have to address the needs of survivors and those who leave also. Okay, so those who remained and those who are leaving the company, so both the requirements, both the issues or the needs of both these category of people have to be addressed completely. Because if you leave them unaddressed, what happens is a negative opinion is created about the organization. So, especially when it comes to survivors, their morale totally comes down. You should motivate them because they also have that fear that they may be thrown out of the company anytime and they may lose their jobs. So you should manage them. You should manage their mindset also. Put some put some of them on counseling sessions, and at the same time those who leave, if you don't handle them properly, a kind of a negative image goes out of the organization. They will start talking ill about the organization. So you should ensure that those who are going outside, are being thrown outside by the company, they also go happily. Okay, so that is what I said, give them a good package so that they go happily out of the company. Then, after addressing the needs and requirements of the survivors as well as those people who are leaving, try to start focusing upon the growth plans of the company. So, this is how the whole downsizing process goes in. So, one technique can be workforce reduction through attrition, retirement, or layoff. There is another technique wherein you can go for organization redesign. Here what happens is, if there are multiple layers who are overlapping, where there are overlapping functions, so that can be reduced, that can be eliminated. Two units can be merged. So such techniques can be used here. Okay, so systemic redesign can also happen here. A kind of responsibilities can be changed here, wherein let us say instead of 3 people, uh, the responsibility is shared with only one person. So such kind of responsibility sharing thing can also happen here continuously in the organization, where downsizing can be done. So these are some techniques, options which you can use for your own company to downsize. Okay, so that is what is downsizing, another technique for restructuring the organizations. So any doubts till here? I'll just